Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in once again to Queen Ahmadiyyah TV, More Than Meets the Third Eye. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur. All right, and these are your spiritual vitamins. So let's get ready to get into it. Hello, that crazy beach Aries, Orange Moon, Nessie X, Claudette, Jonah. All right, Mr. Hotel. Okay, so let's get into it. Shout out to all of my Stardusters in the chat and tuned in. So we're going to be talking about 12 behaviors that you should absolutely never tolerate. Because if you do, well, you're just disrespecting yourself. And if you're disrespecting yourself, that gives others the opportunity to do exactly the same. All right. Mr. Hotel says, shout out to our metaphysical master. All right. Hey, Hundia. Okay, so let's get into it. Everyone, please get those likes up. We can't share because this is a members only live. All right. So if you tolerate these 12 behaviors from anyone, you don't respect yourself. All right. Because if you respect yourself, as I told you on yesterday, you set boundaries. I told you yesterday about setting boundaries, and that's what we have to do. And when someone crosses those boundaries, we have to let them know. Now, self-respect is super important. Okay. It's a really good quality to have, but it isn't always easy to develop. Now, the problem is that if you don't have self-respect, you risk being taken advantage of by other people who don't have your best interest in heart. Okay? Because of that, we can look at things from both perspectives and examine the behaviors of other people and the way that we respond to them to determine whether or not we respect ourselves. Now, with that in mind, let's talk about it. Let's take a closer look at a few behaviors that you should never tolerate. First of all, insults. Now, if someone insults you and you just let them get away with it, well, it sends out a clear signal to everyone who's listening that you don't respect yourself or that you're just, you'll let people run over you. You won't stand up for yourself. It makes you look weak. Okay. Now, of course, I'm not saying that if someone disrespects you or someone insults you that you should punch them or, just become violent or anything like that, but you have to speak up for yourself. You have to demand respect at the end of the day. You don't just let people talk to you crazy, talk to you any kind of way. Some things you don't tolerate. Okay? So, with that all being said, you get your respect. You have to get your respect. And then you come out on top at the end of the day. Because if someone insults you and everyone hears you just call them out on it, well, that's just going to let other people know that they should mess with you. Okay. Can't just let people get away with stuff. All right. That's right. Dan said RESPECT. That's right. Okay. I mean, y'all know I don't tolerate disrespect, honey. Y'all know that I don't put up with certain things. All right. You go crazy talking about the queen in the chat, in the comment section, all that. I will absolutely put people on blast. All right. And that's what you have to do sometimes. Sometimes you have to put people on blast. And here's the thing. Some people will insult you under the guise of they're giving you something. They're giving you some sort of advice. They'll make it as though they're trying to help you. Now, there's a difference between constructive criticism and someone who's just trying to throw shade your way. And always remember, beloveds, that people only throw shade at those of us who are shining. Okay, please pay attention. People will give you little slick comments and snide remarks and act as though they're not trying to insult you. Let me just give you an example. So let's just say you lose weight. Okay, you've been trying to lose weight or whatever, and then you may have lost about 10 pounds, and then you're proud of yourself. You feel good. You can notice that you've lost 10 pounds, and then you mention it to someone. I've been working out, a so-called friend. Oh, I've been working out. I'm losing weight. And they say, really? And I can't really tell. But it's a good thing you're working out. I can't really tell, but it's a good thing you're working out. Yeah, little stuff like that, okay? They'll sometimes say things jokingly. And then also, a lot of times they'll say little backhanded comments and things like that. You know what someone told me one time? I had cut all of my hair off in a short hairstyle. And I think I look cute with a short hairstyle. But anyway, I'd cut all my hair off in a short hairstyle years ago. And I went to work and this girl told me, now I didn't ask her for her opinion on my hair, but she felt the need to tell me. She says, yeah, I don't like that haircut. And I said, good. And then you know not to get it for yourself. Okay. All right. Sit down somewhere. So Yes, nicety, says Kathy B. That's exactly what it is. Mr. Hotel says the same thing. Yes, okay? And so please pay attention because some people are absolutely nefarious. Another thing you shouldn't tolerate is physical abuse. Now, physical abuse is an obvious one to be aware of, okay? We all know that. It's something that should never be tolerated under any circumstances. Some people will physically abuse a person and then make excuses to justify their own nefariousness by saying, oh, well, if they hadn't said this or if they hadn't done that, oh, I was just having a bad day. This is all just BS, okay? At the end of the day, no one has the right to put their hands on another person unless it's in defense of themselves, as far as I'm concerned. Now, if someone physically abuses you, you need to run a mile and report it to the authorities quick, fast, and in a hurry, okay? Otherwise, it's just not a case of you disrespecting yourself, but you're also potentially putting other people at risk. Because if they can get away with doing it to you, they can do it to someone else. Now, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Here is the thing. Now, mind you, they say run and call the authorities. Now, most of us aren't going to do that. I'm not going to do that. If somebody puts their hands on me, well, I'm going to put my hands back on them. I'm just saying. But, hey, I don't condone violence unless it's in defense of oneself or someone else. Please pay attention. So some of you may go to the police, but I'm going to handle it the street way. But let me continue. So rudeness, okay? Rudeness. Now, you should not let people get away with being rude. All right? I don't care if you're in a business establishment, if it's someone that you work with, a coworker or whatever, a family member or a friend. Don't let people speak to you in a rude way. That Crazy Beach Air said she likes to get physical. This is all nefarious. Not that you like to get physical. But listen, don't tolerate people being rude, all right? Because some people, when you allow people to do this, just be, talking to you any kind of way, being rude and obnoxious, you're really doing a huge disservice to yourself. All right. You don't have to put up with it. You don't have to put up with, disrespect and people just, being nasty to you. Always speak up for yourself. And here's the thing. If someone is rude, well, that's a huge warning sign that tells you what type of person they are and what type of personality they have. Specifically, if they're rude to you for no reason. Now, if you're rude to someone and they're rude back, I'm not talking about that. But if someone's just rude to you for no apparent reason, that should tell you a lot about them, okay? I don't care what kind of day they're having. That's never warranted from someone who didn't cause them to have a bad day. And some people love to make excuses. Let me just give you an example. Let me give you all an example, okay? Here's the thing. So, hey, Miss Blessed, here's the thing. So, about a week ago, there's a person that I used to be friends with, and this person owes me a significant amount of cash. I loaned them some money 2 to 3 years. It's been 3 years ago. I loaned them this money. And I told them when I loaned them this money that I did not want them to piece my money off to me. I wanted my money returned to me the same way I gave it to them. Okay. Now this was thousands of dollars. Okay. I'm not going to say how much exactly, but it was a few thousands of dollars nonetheless. Now they've never paid me back all of this money. And so what they do is they've been sending me increments and stuff like that every now and then, whenever they feel like it, I guess. And so a few times I've called them and asked them about my money because I need it. I'm not rich. So I called them about a week or so ago and was asking them about my money. Now I wasn't being, obnoxious or rude. I was being quite nice about it as far as I'm concerned. Okay, because I could have taken them to court. Please pay attention. But so I was talking to them in a nice way and I'm saying, hey, listen, and the reason I called them is because here's the thing. They were supposed to make a payment to me and they told me the date and time they were going to make this payment and they didn't do it. And I needed my cash. So I called them and I said, listen, if you don't have the money, that's one thing, but don't tell me, that you're going to send it and then you don't have to lie. And they said, oh, I don't have time for this. You're being low vibrational. And they hung up. I'm sorry, say what? That Crazy Beast Air said, Alexa, play Beach Better Have My Money by Rihanna. I know that's right. So yes, they told me that I was being low vibrational. Now, mind you, the only reason they would say that is because they knew that they owed me my money. So I'm low vibrational because I'm asking you for exactly what you owe. And here's the thing. what ticked me off was the fact that they hung up in my face. So then I start texting them, saying, hey, listen, why did you hang up? And you're talking about I'm low vibrational. I wasn't even being rude about it. I was asking you nicely. So they sent me a text saying, oh, I'm not going to read your text because it's low vibrational and it's negative and I'm not going to engage. That's what they did. So that really ticked me off. So I'm like, okay, so you're going to hang up in my face because I'm asking about my money. And then you're going to not even bother to read my text. I said, okay, here we go. So with that all being said, I thought of a whole bunch of petty things that I could do to them. But then, I realized that I'm still on a spiritual journey and I must do better, right? So I decided just to cut them off. I said, I'm not going to deal with them. I'm not going to talk to them. I don't want to hear anything from them. And quite frankly, well, I'm not going to call them and ask them for my money ever again. I mean, at the end of the day, sometimes you have to realize that, sometimes it costs you however much money you loan someone. Well, it costs you that much to realize that you need to quit dealing with them, period. Okay. So with that all being said, I didn't talk to them for maybe a few days or whatever. And then I said, you know what? I still want my money. So I sent them a text and I said, listen, I said, in the future, when you want to send me a payment, you can send it to my Cash App or my Zelle. Peace and blessings. And then they text me back and said, oh, see, that type of text wasn't even necessary. You didn't even have to send that. See, that's why I don't engage. So what was negative about that? Nothing was. They were just being rude because they want to justify their own foolishness because they didn't pay me back my darn money. But, so that person is no longer a friend and they can't ever in life, and I mean ever, get me to do anything for them. Okay, please pay attention. All nefarious. Now let's talk about the fourth thing, ignoring boundaries. So we set boundaries to signal to other people what we find acceptable. And so if people deliberately ignore them, it's a clear sign that they don't respect us. Okay. What those boundaries look like vary from one person to another. There are physical boundaries, such as how close we allow people to stand next to us. And then there are emotional and social boundaries, such as whether we allow people to address us by a nickname or whatever. Like if I don't know you and I just met you, don't think you're going to just be calling me by a nickname and say, what now? Yeah, okay. And if you're of a very young age, like maybe you're a child or a teenager, then don't dare to call me by my first name. All right. It's Ms. Okay. I'm just saying you have to get respect at the end of the day. And you can't let people cross your boundaries. And here's the thing. I was watching a video a couple of weeks ago, and there was a little boy. He couldn't have been any more than about maybe 3 to 4 years old. And there was a little girl. She was about the same age. And so the little boy was trying to kiss her on her cheek. Now, of course, he probably didn't know he was doing anything wrong. He's just a little kid. So he's trying to kiss the little girl on her cheek, and the little girl's yelling, boundaries, boundaries, because clearly her parents had taught her about her boundaries, and she felt like he was crossing them. So she continued to yell, boundaries, boundaries. She's literally yelling, and the little boy continues to try to kiss her. Now, whoever was recording this video was laughing in the background, and I didn't think, even though it was cute, I didn't think that they should have been laughing. I think they should have told the little boy to respect her boundaries. You see, even though she's just a little girl, she knows about boundaries. And so the little boy should be taught to respect them. So teach your children about boundaries, because, laughing about something like that, it could turn out to be something different as they get older. Okay. You should teach your children to respect other people's boundaries. Some things that are just, innocent can turn out to be something else later on down the line. And it's because you thought it was a joke or you thought it was cute. And sometimes these things are cute, but it's also good to have a little sidebar conversation with the child and say, listen, sweetie, you can't just go up and be kissing on little girls. Okay. You just can't do that. All right. So that's just all I'm saying. Now, lying. This is a big one for me because I don't like liars and I don't like thieves. Okay. Now, if someone keeps lying to you, you owe it to yourself to distance it from them. And there's different types of liars, okay? There are compulsive liars who will lie at the spur of the moment, okay? And there are habitual liars. They just lie out of habit. They don't even, know why they lie. They just have a habit of lying. Sometimes it's to clout chase, and sometimes it's to fit in, and, various reasons. And then there are the most nefarious one of all, the pathological liars. The pathological liars are very dangerous. See, a lot of sociopaths and narcissists are pathological liars. Now, I'm not saying that all pathological liars are narcissists or sociopaths, but many of them are. That's all I'm saying. And pathological liars, you see, the thing about them is they lie so much that they tend to believe their own lies in some cases. And they will lie till the end. They will not change their story. And if they do, it'll just be to add more lies. Okay? They will lie even when they know that you know that they're absolutely lying. They'll still continue to lie. You can say, hey, I just saw you go over there and steal that soda out of my refrigerator. And they'll say, I didn't go in your kitchen. They'll just play completely dumb and they'll continue to lie. This is a pathological liar. They are the most nefarious liars of all. Jude said, Queen, looking amazing. Thank you, beloved. Now, and here's the next one. This is the sixth thing that you shouldn't put up with. Manipulation. Manipulation is a pet peeve of mine. And narcissists and sociopaths, well, they're absolutely big manipulators. Now, if someone keeps manipulating you into doing things that you don't want to do, you need to just get rid of them. Distance yourself. Don't allow people to pressure you or guilt you into doing something that you really don't agree with. Life's too short to do things that you don't want to do. Okay, if someone who claims to love you keeps manipulating you into doing certain things, well, it's a sure sign that they don't quite love you as much as you love them, or even as they're pretending to. Okay, and here's the thing. Let's go back to the person who borrowed that money from me. That crazy rich era said, not add more lies, wig. Now, here's the thing. That same person who was upset because I asked them about my money, they're very manipulating as well. Okay, because one of the things they tried to do is use reverse psychology. See, it was reverse psychology when they told me that I was the problem, when I was being negative, when I'm bringing their aura down. That's what they told me. I'm bringing their aura down. They don't want to engage me. Well, first of all, you don't want to engage me because you don't want me to talk about my money that you owe because you don't want to pay it back clearly, or maybe you just don't have it. But nonetheless, they're very manipulative. Okay, because they'll sit there and make up all of these excuses, which are likely just lies and BS, as to why they hung up the phone in my face or why they haven't paid me my money. So, because here's the thing, after that person hung up the phone, I stopped taking their calls. Okay, so then they text me and they said, oh, I'm sorry about what happened. When I hung up on you, I was having a bad day. I had just gotten into it with someone. I have so much stuff going on. They went to telling me all this stuff. I don't care. That's just a manipulation tactic. Okay. At the end of the day, you did what you did because that's what you chose to do. If I'm having a bad day, do I get on my live and take it out on any of you? No, I don't. If I'm having a bad day, does that mean I have a right to go around and be rude to everyone else and just be a nasty person? No. Okay, so you have to watch out for those people who are manipulators. And some people will absolutely try to get you involved in things that you really wouldn't ordinarily do. Okay, some of them actually run game. As a matter of fact, most of them do that. All right, so please pay attention to that. That Crazy Beach Era said vampires doing what they do best. Absolutely. Hey, Prince of Paraphernalia. Now, the next one is guilt tripping. Now, this is a common tactic used by a narcissist. Yes, absolutely. You see, the narcissist, the thing about them that I dislike the most is that they never accept any accountability for anything that they do. It's always somebody else's fault. I wouldn't have done this if you hadn't done this. No accountability whatsoever. And they love to paint narratives. And then they'll guilt trip you, and then they'll play the victim. This is what they do. Now, when someone tries to guilt trip you, they try to make you feel guilty for something there's no reason for you to even feel guilty for in the first place. For example, let's say that you go out for drinks and your partner doesn't have a good time. Instead of just writing it off as one of those nights, a guilt tripper might try to blame their partner for taking them along in the first place. Okay, now it should go without saying that if your partner tries to guilt trip you, the best option is to rise above it. It can be tempting to retaliate, but you owe it to yourself not to stoop to their level. Okay, now I don't know if you all know this or not, but I have some new designs that I recently put in my spreadshirt shop, right? I have some new designs. And one of them, it says, I don't stoop to low vibrational levels, okay? And another one, I don't sink to low vibrational levels. And one of them says, I don't deal with toxic throat chakras. All right. So at the end of the day, yes, that Crazy Beach Area says it's everyone else's fault. Absolutely. Okay. No accountability whatsoever. Now, the bottom line is no one can make a person do anything without their consent. All right. And these people, they want to sit there and act like they did things because you made them to do it. You angered them. You said something they didn't like. And so that's why they did whatever. That's just a whole load of BS. And they're just trying to make you feel bad at the end of the day and trying to guilt trip you. Now, the next thing is this: holding grudges. Have you ever heard the phrase that the longer you hold a grudge, the heavier it gets? So, life is too short to hold grudges. So there are situations where someone has held a grudge at one point and at which they actively harm themselves. Because here's the thing: when you go around holding a grudge with a chip on your shoulder and you're mad about something that happened, years ago, well, sometimes it's not even worth it, because it could be a family member, someone that you love, but you just had a falling out. And then before you know it, this person, God forbid, something could happen to them. Maybe they pass away and you never got a chance to say, to make amends with them, to say that you're sorry. They never got a chance to tell you that they're sorry. You see, sometimes you have to be the bigger person and just take the first move forward to try to mend things. And that's only if it's worth mending, and only if it's a person that's significant to you. Some people are irrelevant to us, so we really don't care what they think. So we don't feel the need to, come to some type of common ground with them. But at the end of the day, if it's someone you care about, you should absolutely not hold a grudge, okay? Try to make things right if you can, when you can, because life is too short. You remember I told you that on the tombstone, when a person dies, there's two dates: the year you were born and the year that you died. And at the end of the day, the only thing in between is a small dash. And that little dash is the amount of time that we're here. Okay? So please pay attention. You're welcome, Danceman beloved. Eleanor says, Timber Dan says, yep, Eleanor Roosevelt said, no one can make you feel inferior without your consent. So true. Absolutely. And remember, it's not what you're called, it's what you answer to. And if you have high self-esteem, you feel good about yourself, well, the things that other people say about you really won't matter, because it's what you think about yourself that's the most important. And the ninth thing is constant criticism. Now, if someone constantly criticizes you, it's just going to bring you down and become a self-fulfilling prophecy. You see, people can speak things on you. They can embed things into your subconsciousness, okay? They can just keep telling you things over and over until you start to believe them, and then you start to doubt yourself, and then you start to have a low self-worth, okay? A low view of yourself if you allow these things to persist, and if you are a person who takes to heart what others say and how they think of you. Now, in other words, if you're constantly told that you're good for nothing, you'll start to believe it. If your partner tells you that you can't cook, you may start to burn things every time you go into the kitchen, even if you are a perfectly competent cook. Because, people can manifest things upon you if you're allowing them to keep saying these things and you're believing it and you're engaging them and you're, giving life to it. Okay? Now, the occasional piece of criticism is fine. Constructive criticism is always good because we can learn from those things, okay? Someone who's giving you constructive criticism is not out to do you harm. And they have your best interest in mind. But people who are always critical of you, everything is something pessimistic, never anything positive to say about anything, well, you should distance yourself from those type of people, okay? If you're tolerating constant criticism from someone, you owe it to yourself to simply say goodbye. Bid them adieu. The 10th thing is controlling behavior. This is absolutely one you should not put up with, specifically in a relationship. Because controlling behavior, what does that tell you? That tells me that this is a possessive person, a person who wants to own you, not just be in a relationship with you. They want to literally own you. You are a piece of property to them. They want to know where you're going, who you're going with. They want to keep track of you throughout the day. And then these types of people often are abusive. If someone's controlling, that means they have some sort of insecurity. And that means that they're very jealous. Okay, so insecure, jealous, and controlling, those are all a recipe for disaster. These are the type of people who become abusers. And we know how that can turn out. Okay, people lose their lives every day due to domestic violence, due to trying to get away from abusers, because for women, it is the most dangerous time when they're trying to leave the person. And at the end of the day, men get abused as well. So the first time that you see the red flags, a person doing too much, like checking your phone constantly, you go somewhere and come back and they ask you 1,000 questions, or if you don't answer their phone calls right away, they want to know why you didn't answer and how come you didn't call me back within a certain amount of times and things like that. These are all signs of a controlling individual, and you really need to distance yourself from those people. Because if you respect yourself, you will demand respect from others, and you won't allow people to walk all over you and just treat you any kind of way. The next one is flakiness. Now, I don't like flakiness. I call these sometimey people, and that's what I don't like. I don't like people who are fine with you 1 minute and then acting shysty with you the next. Oh, no matter what they're going through, if you didn't have anything to do with it, why are they changing up? I don't like that. Be consistent with me. I need consistency. If you're really my friend, if you're really someone who cares about me and has my best interest at heart, then you will be consistent. You won't be acting shady, okay? But some people are absolutely flaky. Now, flaky people say that they'll be at your party and then they don't turn up. Little things like that. They promise they'll meet a deadline and then go silent when it comes time for them to put their money where their mouth is. Flaky people also will borrow money from you and then say, oh, I'm going to pay you back, and then do just like my friend or so-called friend did me. Okay, this is a flaky person. Now, I know some people who are super forgiving of this, and they just let these things roll right off of their shoulders. You know, they keep dealing with these people. But at the end of the day, you should ask yourself, can you really trust someone who's flaky? Can you really trust them? Does this person really have your best interest in mind? I don't think so. Now, the problem is that through the act of being flaky, they're showing you that they don't respect your time, your efforts. They don't respect you, pretty much, period. Okay? And then the last thing is treating you as an afterthought. Now, at the end of the day, people who are a part of our lives, people who we care about and love and adore, we spend time with them. We call them to see how they're doing. You know, we check on them if we haven't heard from them in a while. But at the end of the day, some people just treat you like an afterthought, specifically if you're in a relationship. Now, this goes for women and men. If you're in a relationship with someone and you find yourself calling them all the time and them never calling you, right? And then, you know, they just blow you off when you have things that you want to do. And they say, well, you know, I'm hanging out with my girls today, or I'm hanging out with the fellas today. They don't make you a priority, but you find yourself making them a priority. Well, that's someone who's putting you on the back burner. That's someone who clearly is not as invested in the relationship as you are. And something that you all should remember is the fact that anytime you're in a relationship with someone, please pay attention. If you're in a relationship with someone, the person who cares the least or who acts as though they care the least about the relationship is the one that's in charge of the relationship. I just want y'all to pay attention. Okay, can I get an amen? Now, let me say that again. In a relationship, the person who acts as though they care the least is the person who's in control of that relationship. Now, think about it. If you're calling someone all the time and you're always asking them, do you want to go out to eat? Do you want to go to the movie? It's always you putting forth the effort. That person who's not doing any of those things, who clearly is acting as though they could do with or without the relationship, like it's just not that important to them, like you're just not a priority to them, well, that person is in control of the relationship. Okay, and remember this: no matter how much you love someone, at the end of the day, you should love yourself more so than anyone. Okay, that's what you should do. You should love yourself more than you love anyone. So don't let people put you on the back burner. If someone's not giving you what you need and want from the relationship, well, then you should leave that relationship, whether it's an intimate relationship or a friend. Sometimes our friends are not as good of friends to us as we are to them. Okay, sometimes our friends don't have our backs, our so-called friends, fair weather friends. That's what I call them. Fair weather friends will absolutely make you an afterthought. These are the people who call you only when they want something, only when they need your shoulder to cry on, or they may want to borrow something or whatever. But then when you have problems, they're nowhere in sight. They're not there for you. They don't show up for you in your time of need because you're an afterthought to them. And you need to distance yourself from these people at the end of the day. And people who do not give you encouraging words, but always want to say things to make you feel bad or doubt yourself, distance yourself from them. Remember, psyche vampires will suck all of the life and energy right out of you if you allow them to. Okay? They will absolutely do so. Now, with that all being said, I'm going to conclude this broadcast. I just wanted to speak with you all briefly about that because remember, people treat you the way you allow them to. At the end of the day, when you stand up for yourself, when you set your boundaries, when you let people know what you will and will not tolerate, there's nothing they can do but either comply or just leave your presence. And if they leave your presence, well, that means they didn't care enough about you anyway. And so you're better off without them. But people who truly care about you, once you bring things to their attention, because, sometimes people do things inadvertently. They don't always mean any harm. Sometimes people just have a lot going on. They're going through things themselves. They're caught up with their own emotions and things that they're dealing with. And sometimes, they may put you on the back burner inadvertently. That'll be far and few in between. That won't be a constant thing. If it's a constant thing, it's absolutely on purpose. Okay, just remember that. But at the end of the day, when you find that there's a problem, always address it. Tell the person how you feel. Say, let's have a talk about it. And if after that discussion, because you don't need to keep telling them the same thing. Here's the thing. If you find yourself constantly complaining about the same thing to the same individual over and over and over and over, what does that tell you? What does that tell you? It should tell you that they don't give a darn. Okay? You only have to tell me one time. If I'm doing something that's upsetting you and you're someone that I care about, you only need to tell me that one time and I'm going to straighten up. Okay? Because sometimes, like I said, we inadvertently do things. And so it's okay when you just sit down and talk to the person and they say, you know what, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it like that. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. I didn't know that you felt like I was ignoring you. Okay. Thank you, Orange Moon Beloved, for your super sticker donation. Peace, love, and blessings to you. Let me give you an example. I had a friend one time, and I was always busy. I was working 2 jobs. I was going to college. I had a lot going on. And so she'd called me maybe 3 or 4 times in a week, and I had not gotten back to her. And so she left me a message one day and she said, I'm starting to feel like you're ignoring me. I need to talk to you. And so I called her back and I apologized because at the end of the day, I wasn't trying to ignore her, and I didn't want her to think that I was. And I didn't want her to feel that I didn't care about her feelings or what she had to talk to me about. So I apologized. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes that's all it is. Just as simple as having a conversation and addressing things. Sometimes people have problems with things that other people do or say to them, and they just hold it inside and they don't speak on it. Well, that's the wrong thing to do, because, see, that builds resentment. And then sometimes, like I said, people don't mean to do certain things, and all you have to do is just point it out to them. All right? That Crazy Beach Area said, this was excellent, Queen. Thank you. You're absolutely welcome, beloved. So with that all being said, you all stay tuned, because tomorrow, about the same time, I will be right back on here. We're going to be going live for the members only every day this week. And please be paying attention, because there will be questions about all of the topics we discuss on the trivia. Okay, so I love you all to life. Enjoy the rest of this day. And until next time, beloveds, each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember to keep the Most High first in your lives. And last but not least, there's always room for improvement. Peace.